Good morning and welcome back into JumpStart Sports. I am one of your hosts, Steven Shoemaker. Alongside me, we have a 6-foot guard out of the University of Muhlenberg, hometown New Jersey, number 55, Jason Cop. What just happened, Jay?
Now, if you're wondering if I just fell, I did.
Ball? Oh, he's doing the gritty. I thought my
shit.
I thought my intro knocked you out of your chair. Was that exciting? You just
That's
wiped
actually
out.
so funny.
I wish we got that recorded. Fortunately, we didn't. But wow.
I'm actually so happy that just happened. I just completely ate it.
What a way to start the show.
What a way to start the morning. Good morning. As my lovely assistant just said, and co-host, I'm Jason Kopp. I'm here to jumpstart that morning. I just jump-started my own by
Jumped out of his own chair.
I literally jumped out of my own chair.
Fire intro, but Jay, we are 3 days after the Super Bowl, and I'm still in shock of it. Like, one of the best Super Bowls I've ever seen.
Second and goal. Pass. Caught. Got it. Touchdown.
Obviously, the Eagles is probably my number one, but I definitely have to put that one in my top 3.
I think what was so cool about it is that I don't know if you felt this way too. I love that I wasn't actually rooting for, like I was hoping the Bengals would win, like as we talked about, just because Joe Burrow is so fun to root for. But like I didn't have any stake in the game, so like it was so fun to just watch the game, and it was such a good game too.
It really was. Yeah, I wasn't really rooting for either team either, but I wanted to see the Rams win for a couple different reasons. Like I wanted to see like Stafford worked hard to get there and the tough career he's had. Aaron Donald, he was on a mission just all season. Like he had no more accolades he really needed to get done other than getting a Super Bowl ring. And in that fourth quarter, just seeing what he was able to do, like he took over that game. I'm really surprised he wasn't named MVP of that game. He probably was a close second.
Well, he didn't really do much the whole game. They were triple teaming him.
They were, but he still had like 2.5 sacks and a bunch of tackles, and he won them the game on that last play. The last play bringing down Burrow, which
100%.
If we can talk about that really quickly, there was a lot that went into that play because one, I guess in the heat of the moment, you're not really sure what was going through Samaje Perine head, but
how could they put out Samaje Perine?
How do you not die for that football?
It seemed a little out of reach.
Still,
my thing is like,
I don't care if that ball's 10 feet away from me. I'm diving for it and trying to make an effort.
Dude, how could they not put in Joe Mixon for one of the 2 final plays of the game? I get it, Samaje.
That's another great question.
Down back. Like, but on a 3rd and 1, you're giving it to Samaje Perine?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
I don't get that.
Aaron Donald had him wrapped up like a Christmas present, so he wasn't really able to look that far downfield, but it was only fitting that Jalen Ramsey got cooked once again and would have won them the game if he was able to just chuck it downfield and give Jamar Chase a chance. But
yeah, that would have given me $320 on the bet because I had the final leg of a parlay was Jamar Chase to score a touchdown. Rip.
That's tough. Well, one of my bets in my parlay was Odell over 65 receiving yards, and he got hurt with 52, so that was tough to see, but I was happy for him too. I mean,
yeah,
everything he's been through, the torn ACL, thinking that he was one of the problems in Cleveland, and then for him to come to a team that he was able to help win a Super Bowl, getting the first touchdown of the game. I mean, I was rooting for him.
20 to win 200. Thanks, Odell.
There you go.
No, yeah, I mean, I love Odell, though his time in the Giants, I feel like he was growing up, right? Like he definitely was insane on the Giants. like insane in terms of talent and insane like he was nutty. And the Browns did him so wrong. They are such a I don't know. I just feel like they left that whole trade or sorry that them releasing Odell with absolutely nothing. Odell showed he still got it. It just is so unfortunate that, of course, he tore that the same ACL that he tore, I think, like it was a year and a half ago, not even 2 years ago. So it's really unfortunate. Also, I wanted to look this up just because of how ridiculous it was. Joe Burrow got sacked 7 times in the Super Bowl, which tied the record for sacks against a quarterback in the Super Bowl ever.
He got sacked 9 times against the Titans.
Yeah, like I think if they don't address the O-line this offseason, they are in like they were if you really think about it, like the Bengals are probably like a miracle run, I feel like, of all the teams.
Yeah.
If they don't really step up with that O-line and probably add some defense outside of Eli Apple, which we'll get to in a little bit.
I saw a post, which was a very interesting argument to bring up, that the Bengals should have drafted Penei Sewell over Jamar Chase to help that offensive line. And it would have definitely helped them. But at the same time, even though an argument can be made there, I don't think that would have been enough to get them to the Super Bowl. Jamar Chase got them to the Super Bowl in big part. Offensive Rookie of the Year. They still have so many weapons with, Mixon, who was finally able to stay healthy this year.
Yep.
T. Higgins, who's an absolute monster, got away with that face mask call, but he's still just such a beast. Tyler Boyd's really developed over the years, but without Jamar Chase, they don't get to that Super Bowl, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also he's probably going to go down as having the the best receiver rookie season in history.
Yeah.
We'll see how he follows that up next year. But I mean, it was an amazing Super Bowl. I loved the halftime show, which we'll get to in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the most watched TV show in the last 5 years, according to NBC.
101 million.
Cool. Yeah, which is cool. Like, I mean, it was a really entertaining game, and it was finally Tom Brady wasn't in it because he may or may not be retired.
It was the first Super Bowl in what? It was like 11 years, maybe more than that Brady, Roethlisberger, or Peyton Manning was not in it.
Really?
Yeah, the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty impressive. New era is coming.
Yep. And there's plenty of talent in this new era, too.
But yeah, just a great game. Came down to the finish. And I mean, man, Cooper Kupp. I called it. I did say it on the last show. If you go back and watch, my prediction was Cooper Kupp to be MVP. As we will talk about Eli Apple in a second, nobody on that team was going to be able to stop Cooper Kupp. And I was thinking about it like when the game was progressing towards the end of it. It kind of in a way reminded me of when Tom Brady in that Saints game when he lost Evans and Godwin.
And
he had to work with minimal receivers.
Like
and AB, and they didn't have AB either in that game. He was still suspended. Yep. So he had to work with minimal receivers. And it was similar because Stafford didn't have Robert Woods. He lost OBJ. Van Jefferson didn't do a whole lot. So he was just trying to find different people who were going to step up. And if he didn't have Cooper Kupp out there, the Bengals were winning that game, no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp is so unreal. So unbelievable. I read something from Devontae Adams that it was like 2 years ago. He called it. He's the most underrated receiver in the NFL. For what Cooper Kupp went through, which was basically, for those of you in our audience who don't know, he basically tore his ACL, and while he was repairing it, he re-taught himself how to run so he could take out the flaws in his running style, specific to how he can run routes. And, 4 years ago that was, here we are, and he's MVP of the Super Bowl. He won the Triple Crown this year. I mean, sure, if he won the receiving title, it probably still wouldn't have meant the same because of the extra game. But he's unbelievable.
Quick fantasy question: do you think this Super Bowl game solidifies himself as a top 5 pick in fantasy for next year?
I think people still won't take him top 5. I think he'll be top 10. I think he has to be top 10.
Let me rephrase the question. Does it put him over Devontae Adams if Aaron Rodgers comes back to the Packers next year? Does it put him over Devontae?
That's a tough one because the thing is, like, at least for me, like when I'm looking back, Michael Thomas had one of the best receiver seasons of all time, and then the next year, he was still hurt. Yeah, like and before that, he was still good, but he wasn't the same. I mean, yeah, who knows what happens,
Yeah.
He doesn't get injured, but
injuries are such a tough thing because, like, McCaffrey should be one, but you can't trust him with his injuries.
Yeah, I don't know.
McCaffrey's gonna be tough. Yeah, we'll see, though.
So something interesting that I thought was brought up, it's actually been talked about a lot lately. Since this game finished, Stafford's, like, his Hall of Fame questions have kind of been brought into light, especially by Richard Sherman, who basically on his podcast was saying he doesn't think that he deserves to be. So do you think that Stafford should be a do you think he's a Hall of Fame QB right now? I think that his years in Detroit kind of make it seem like he's not, but he is definitely a Hall of Fame talent. What do you think?
I can't stand Richard Sherman. I don't know why he needed to bring that up, like not even 24 hours after he won a Super Bowl. But he does make an interesting point because I guess based off what he's done in the NFL and his numbers, he did not have a good season this year. He really didn't do anything in Detroit. If it wasn't for Megatron, he probably would have been lost. So the Super Bowl, is awesome. He's made it to what? 1 Pro Bowl?
Yeah, 1 Pro Bowl.
So, like, I don't know if he's done enough. I don't think he's done enough to make it to the Hall of Fame. As of right now, I probably agree. My answer is probably no as of right now. But it's also, how many years does the guy have left in him? 2, maybe 3?
No, I think he's not that old. I think he's like 34, right? Or 36.
Yeah, I guess it depends. I don't know. We'd have to see. I don't know if I'd see him. I don't know. Just like being a family man that he is, and like with concussions and stuff like that.
34.
He could easily go anywhere from 2 to 6 more years. Just kind of depends. But
yeah,
as of right now, I'd probably say no.
I feel like he has the same kind of career arc as Big Ben in that he probably will last a few more years, maybe 4. Because he also he's not mobile, right? Like it's mostly arm talent.
I feel like you have to put Big Ben in the Hall of Fame, though. Not just because he has 2 Super Bowls, but just because of the iconic name and who he is and what he did in Pittsburgh. I feel like Ben is more deserving of a Hall of Fame bid than Stafford is.
I feel like I agree with you to like right now, but I feel like Stafford also had 13 years with the Lions where he was throwing to no one except Megatron for the years that he had him. Just kind of in a wasteland because that organization is as much of a dumpster fire as the Sacramento Kings is for the NBA. Like, I just feel like he's so talented. Like, did you see that angle from that no-look pass?
Yeah, that was an incredible throw.
He did that in like a crucial moment.
I feel like it was a little bit unnecessary because he knew exactly where
100% unnecessary.
He knew exactly where Cooper Kupp was going to be.
Yeah,
he sold it a little bit to the defense because they were definitely looking the other way. But
he didn't have to do that in a crucial 3rd down in a Super Bowl.
Hey, he probably made that throw in his sleep, so he knew what he was doing. But still.
I just think it's so funny that like when Matt Stafford makes no-look throws, no one cares. But when Pat Mahomes does it, everyone shits their pants and like there's a million tweets about it. They have to talk about it on Sports Center and Get Up and Good Morning America.
True.
I don't know. But I think Stafford is a supremely talented quarterback. His receivers were pretty unbelievable. You know what's kind of interesting though? Cam Akers didn't do anything.
No, he probably averaged like a yard per carry.
It was 2.1.
12 touches for like 14 yards. It was bad.
In the whole playoffs, he averaged like 2.1 yards per carry, which is really bad. And that kind of makes you think, like, is that Achilles related? Is it that O-line related? What do you like? I really genuinely don't know. Like,
I think it had a lot. I think it had a lot to do with the O-line for sure.
Yeah,
the Bengals
he's just so supremely talented. Well. So
yeah, the Bengals O-line played really well. But it's a shame because I tell you who did not play well was Eli Apple. Who do you think had a worse game, him or Jalen Ramsey?
Yeah, Jalen Ramsey had a tough game, but I think but it looks way worse because of that no call. Eli Apple, you know why Eli Apple had a worse game? And this is speaking from a completely biased Giants fan. Eli Apple went to the Giants, was a bust. He was pick number 10. He went to the Saints. He was a bust. He did nothing. He went to also, I think, the Panthers, got cut, did nothing. Then he goes to the Bengals, where they have a pretty solidified defense. And he honestly played pretty well this whole year. This is where I have a huge issue with him. Always have. Eli Apple thinks he's the shit. He came out publicly and was trying to push the buttons of Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman, with all of these guys who have already won a Super Bowl.
I thought that was funny though, because I'm pretty sure he guarded Mecole Hardman in that game, and it was just non-existent in that offense. Like, it's Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Byron Pringle. Byron Pringle had more role in that offense than Mecole Hardman did.
100%.
I think it was funny because he takes a shot at Mecole Hardman, and he responded by like sending him a picture of his Super Bowl ring.
Yeah.
But in that game, he had 1 catch for 2 yards, so he didn't do anything to help that team out. But
Mecole Hardman is such a bust of a second-round pick.
Regardless, I guess a ring's a ring, so he has that over him. But
yeah, to go at like Tyreek Hill though, Tyreek Hill would burn him any day of the week.
Oh my god,
it's not even close. So it's just like, I thought it was amazing that Eli Apple decided to publicly say that like he wanted Odell. That was why I bet Odell would score the first touchdown, because I was like, Eli Apple on him, Odell's gonna burn the crap out of him, and he did. And then he gets burned like the entire game, and the reason that Cooper Kupp was able to draw the DPI in the end zone, and ultimately score the touchdown as well.
And I didn't even think that move that Cooper Kupp made was like anything special. It was like
he just held him.
Yeah, it was just like a triple fake, held him, and then just got so open somehow. Especially in that point, like if I'm a cornerback and I think I'm beat for the game-winning score, I'm probably like tackling the crap out of him, even if it's PI, like just to give our team like another chance potentially. And if I'm Jalen Ramsey, I am buying Aaron Donald a Benz truck. I'm taking him out to dinner. I am in his debt, because if Aaron Donald doesn't get to Burrow on that play and he finds Chase deep, Jalen Ramsey is the laughingstock of the Super Bowl.
True. Because then he would have gotten burned by both of their top receivers too, technically.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's so funny to me that the slander of Eli Apple has spanned across all fans, because he called out the Giants and the Saints fans. So he made enemies there. So the Giants and Saints fans are calling him out. The Bengals fans are calling him out. And then you have like professionals who are calling him out besides Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman. Like, all of these people are just saying how Eli Apple just got burned and how he's burnt toast. So people keep sending the meme of just toast.
Yeah. A quick point I wanted to make is on that T. Higgins touchdown, the clear face mask that wasn't called.
Yeah.
So 2 seasons ago, you know how if there was a pass interference call, you could challenge it and they look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something they could have challenged 2 years ago, like a missed face mask call? Could they have challenged?
Yeah, they could have challenged that 2 years ago.
So that's like interesting to me because obviously the refs can't see every single thing going on.
That was embarrassing, though.
And there really weren't that many penalty flags starting this game. But
pretty quick.
They just wanted to let them play, which I like. But at the same time, like when you miss something that big, I feel like that's challenge worthy. Something that I feel like it's something the league should consider bringing back, because that, was a game changer right there to start off the second half.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough because when that rule was enacted, I mean, it seemed like a really good idea for exactly the reason you're talking about right now, because refs don't see everything. Sometimes they make mistakes. The rule came from the Saints Rams game 3 years ago in the NFC championship game, where the Saints receiver got absolutely laid out by the Rams DB and nothing was called. So then they tried it. The issue was that every time that a play was challenged, they lost. For whatever reason, it was really weird. There was like 3 successful ones out of like the 30 that were challenged. So they ultimately just scrapped it, like the idea of it. I don't know. It is an interesting thing to think about, though, because it was pretty blatant. But then I think to all the games that there were blatant PI calls or not PI calls that were challenged during the time that they were trialing it, and it was the same thing. Like they would just stick to the call, which is weird.
Yeah, absolutely. But regardless, it was a great game. I don't think we could have asked, for a better game. Two teams that deserve to be there. It was an awesome game.
23-20 Rams.
Yeah, 23-20 came down to the wire.
Yeah,
I was thinking that he still had like 1:40 on the clock or something. So I think Joe Burrow was going to march down, and then Money McPherson.
I thought there was a chance.
Yeah, I thought Money McPherson was going to send it to OT, and then I wonder if there was a prop bet for that, like a live prop bet of heads or tails.
Totally.
I got that right, by the way. I bet on heads.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad I didn't do it, because I had there was a $200 free bet that DraftKings gave me, probably because I was a degenerate for so long, and I was like, what to use this on? And then I was like, heads or tails is a pretty good one because 50-50 shot, and I put it on tails, and then I was like, you know what? This is the kind of thing that I would get wrong.
There you go.
So I took it off, and I put it that Evan McPherson would score a field goal in the first half. And I walked away with 140.
There you go.
About it.
Yeah, I did pretty well with my bets. I got the Odell one wrong, and I got the Gatorade one wrong. I thought it was.
You did the Gatorade too?
I figured I was 50-50 too. I thought it was going to either be yellow or blue, and I picked yellow, and it was blue.
Ah, damn it.
Yeah, rats. Do you want to talk a little bit about the halftime show? Because it was awesome, but I think you appreciated it a little bit more than I did.
Yeah, I mean, so I think the halftime show was really interesting because I feel like a lot of people our age really enjoyed the halftime show for the most part. And then 40 ages who are younger than us, I'd say maybe I don't know, 18, 19, 20-year-olds probably and lower didn't really get it. And 40-year-olds plus also didn't get it. Like I had my family group chat blowing up. Like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. My grandma texted me and she's like, I didn't get it. I couldn't understand a word they were saying. I was like, Grandma, that's rap.
Yeah.
I really appreciated it because I thought it was a really cool mix of hip hop, and it was like, I love Eminem. So,
oh yeah, I do too.
He didn't really do much, but they played a Tupac song. Like, I loved Eminem. Snoop Dogg literally hit a joint before he got on.
As expected.
As expected. He looked like a carpet. I thought he looked so swaggy. I loved his outfit. Dr. Dre. Like, I just thought it was a really cool lineup that is new, and I don't know. Like, I thought The Weeknd was just so bad last year.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of responsibility when it's just one person doing the whole halftime show, because they have, if somebody like can't like everybody, but if somebody doesn't like that person, it's like they're not going to like the show. But
Sure.
I like the idea of bringing multiple different people into it. I'm not really sure the last time they did that, but like the Shakira J-Lo thing made sense because they're both sexy dancers.
Yeah.
So this was a little bit different, bringing in a bunch of different people. But I don't know. I think there were some things they could have done better. Like I really like the Eminem one, and Till I Collapse was like super fire. I think Kendrick could have been a little bit more hype. Like Mad City, it started off with Mad City, and then it didn't really have the drop. Like it was a different take on it. I thought his performance could have been a little bit better. Mary J. Blige was very good. And then do you want to talk a little bit about what happened with the whole Eminem thing?
I do, but I just had to say this because I saw this this meme also, which is so freaking creative, which was the Mary J. Blige when she finally like collapsed at the very end of hers. It said, "When Andy walks in the room," like in Toy Story.
Oh yeah. You just
I just think that's so creative. So anyway, so the thing that I thought was so cool, we talked about it a little bit. So, and this has been like kind of what's so weird is this has been like reported that the NFL was trying to stop this, and there's also reports from like Ian Rappaport that isn't true. So I don't know what the case is there, but during the halftime show, Eminem was always planning on kneeling. He did it in the the rehearsal as well to kneel for Kaepernick, which I think is awesome. And if it's true that the NFL tried to shut that down, like shame on them, because that's so like it's his career, Kaepernick's career. Think what you want about him, was completely ruined from the NFL blacklisting him more or less. Like, and I'm sure I hope it doesn't happen to Brian Flores also, but it could, just because they like spoke out about the obvious lack of diversity that exists and racism. Well, Kaepernick's was more racism, I think, throughout the world and in America. So I thought it was really awesome that Eminem took a stand, took a kneel, really, in solidarity. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, it was really touching. Eminem spoke with, as you said, the league beforehand to get approval of it. So it was really, it was big for him to do. Yeah, I thought the show was good. I liked it.
They could have done more with it, I guess.
I wish they all could have done something more together. Like I liked how they all had their like separate stages and stuff, but I think if they were all like together on the same stage, like cheering each other on while someone like got after it, might have been a little bit better. I don't know if that. I doubt it had anything to do with COVID.
They should have recreated the end raps from 8 Mile. If they brought out Anthony Mackie, that would have been amazing. So now we're post Super Bowl. I think there's a real argument. Fantasy, there's an argument, and in the NFL, real life, there's an argument. Do you think Cooper Kupp? Do you think he could be kind of like? Do you think he's going to be the best receiver in the league? Like, I feel like it's a real argument to be made. He was the most consistent by far. He was unbelievable. Even though he was kind of a ghost in the first half of the Super Bowl, still comes out, almost gets 100 yards. I mean, he has this really weird innate ability, similar to like a Hunter Renfrow, just somehow in the slot, always just getting open. It's really unreal how they do that, and manipulate zones really well.
I wouldn't say he's the best receiver in the league, but definitely solidified himself as like a top 5 receiver. You made an interesting point earlier about like Michael Thomas, for example, the one year where he broke the record for most receptions in a season, and then the next season he just kind of fell off. Past 2 seasons he's fallen off. Wow, that's crazy to believe that was 3 seasons ago.
Isn't that crazy? And he didn't play the last 2.
Yeah. But he's kind of fallen off. I mean, he's been recovering from the ankle injury. So it's like, in terms of fantasy, I still think you're taking a risk because as good as Cooper Kupp is, I believe he'll have a good year next year. I don't know if he's going to have as impressive of a season as he did this past year. Injuries are kind of inevitable. You can't predict something like that happening.
True.
Defenses might step it up and put more double coverage on him going forward. So I don't know if he's going to be the same Cooper Kupp that he was last year. So somebody could go out and waste their first round pick on him, but it also could maybe not be a waste, and he could, be a top pick. I'd still rather have Davante Adams on my team. I trust him more.
Me too.
Michael Thomas could still be a beast, but he's, falling down the ladders. Who knows what's going to happen with him next year? DeAndre Hopkins is slowly falling off. Just thinking of different top receivers. But since I mentioned Davante Adams, I think he's just the most trustworthy guy. He was on my team this year, and he balled out. And just, sticking with the whole Green Bay thing, what do you think about the whole rumors of Nathaniel Hackett and him trying to get Rodgers to the Broncos, but then also the Broncos saying that the Packers saying that they're willing to put all their chips into Rodgers to bring him back? I personally don't think Rodgers is going to ever leave Green Bay. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I really think that pre-season, I really thought that Rodgers was going to leave. I really thought Rodgers was going to leave. Like, not this year or this past year, but like this coming season, I thought he was going to leave. I think that, I don't know. I thought that the ownership never did them any good. Like, they drafted, although AJ Dillon is great, they drafted a running back in the second round while they had a superstar running back in Aaron Jones. Like, it made no sense. They never drafted a receiver to help out Davante Adams, which is crazy that people would still this is why I also love Davante Adams, is they double coverage him, put double coverage on him, and he still get open every time. He's so unbelievable. I think if the Broncos make a strong push, I think the Packers will not let him go. I think I actually agree with you on this, because the more I think about it, what?
You do?
I do. The more I think about it, the more I realize that like we all watched that game that Jordan Love played against the Chiefs.
That was disgusting.
He looked horrible.
Yeah.
Like, you can't roll that out next year and expect your season ticket holders to be excited. You know what I mean? Like, they have one of the most talented quarterbacks, if not the most talented quarterback ever.
Just one is what? His 4th MVP award?
Yeah, and the second consecutive. Like,
yeah.
And you're gonna tell me that they're gonna try to get rid of him, or like they have to push their cards on the table.
You have to. I don't care how much of a prick he is. He's so good,
and he is a huge prick. Yeah. But like, I think what will be interesting to see is, so the Saints did this same thing for Drew Brees a couple years ago when they realized it was going to be one of his last seasons. So I wonder, do they pay Aaron Rodgers all this money where they're prepared to make him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, or no, because then they can't do anything else in terms of re-signing their
when you say highest paid quarterback in the NFL, you're saying they'd give over, it was 10 years, $504 million to Mahomes.
No, I think on a per year, they probably would do that. Not the length. Whatever it is, whatever like in their mind going all in is, right?
Yeah. I mean, losing to the 49ers was embarrassing.
That was embarrassing.
There's still a Super Bowl contender next year if you bring back Aaron Jones and Davante Adams, and they really just need one more receiver out there. to really help.
That's what they've always needed.
That's what they've always needed, just one more receiver.
That's why it's so crazy that they just this whole time they've just been rolling out like Alan Lazard and MVS, who are not very good. They drafted Equanimous St. Brown in the 4th round or something like that, or maybe 5th round. His brother's did great, Amon-Ra, but he sucks.
Yeah, and I don't know what they'd be able to pull off in terms of money if they're giving most of their money to Rodgers. But if I'm them, I'm trying to get Calvin Ridley or something like that.
But they also can't pay their free agents like Devondre Campbell, who had a Pro Bowl year. That's going to be a tough loss for the defense.
Not going to be able to buy the beers for Bakhtiari.
Right. Bakhtiari is going to have only half a beer or maybe just a shot.
Talking about some other quarterbacks really quick, Jay. What do you think about all this Kyler nonsense? How they were pointing the fingers at him for getting spanked by the Rams. And that was an embarrassing game for Kyler. But all the blame can't be put on him. I think he's going to be out of there. I don't know if it's going to be next season. I don't know if it's going to be next. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be next season, but at some point, I think he's gonna get out of there.
So let me just really quickly read this from Chris Mortensen from ESPN. Please. Sure thing. So he said, let's see. So this is a whole thing, but he basically tweeted out 2 days ago, which is the day of the Super Bowl. He said the odd vibe between the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler is indeed alarming. Murray is described as self-centered, immature, and finger-pointer, per sources. That's a really good statement. Murray is frustrated with franchise and embarrassed by playoff loss to Rams and thinks he's been framed as the scapegoat. Where is it headed? Despite the acrimony, the Cardinals expect things to calm down, and Murray is their quarterback. Select veterans hope to reach Murray on how he handles adversity better. Coach Cliff Kingsbury is also self-scouting, where he can provide better alternatives for quarterback. So that was from Chris Mortensen for ESPN. So that's a hefty tweet right there. And there's no way Kyler's camp didn't see it. But what's also interesting is that's a really large accusation right there. And it kind of came out of nowhere. And I feel like something like this always does on Super Bowl Sunday. There's always that one random thing.
Yeah.
This one happened to be Kyler being a baby, basically.
I just to picture him he's so little and fast, crying and running in circles, and the Cardinals trying to catch him and be like, "Come here, get your act together," and he's just
sit down,
running away, trying to find a new team.
I just think
Eagles will happily take him.
So the Giants, oh my God, we ended up with Daniel Jones the same year, 5 picks later. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of crazy because this has to be coming from the Cardinals camp. There's no way that wouldn't have for an ESPN reporter to confidently be like, here's the tweet and send it. I mean, those are large accusations, and they're basically calling him
yeah.
So I don't know. I think it was funny at first. Kyler took down all of his Instagram pictures, which I don't even think we mentioned because we didn't feel like it was worth it. Or maybe we did, and I'm talking out of my butt. But basically, Kyler takes down all of his pictures except 2, one being the Pro Bowl, the other being an Oklahoma Sooners, while he's wearing the jersey. Then the Cardinals, who, I mean, they obviously got approval for this, but it was pretty funny. The Cardinals took down all of their pictures except for Kyler wearing a Cardinals jersey on draft day and the same picture from the Pro Bowl with CeeDee Lamb, who they played together with at Oklahoma.
Yeah, he was terrible in the Pro Bowl too.
Yeah, he was terrible in the Pro Bowl. I think Kyler's still their future. I don't think they're going to do anything. I think he just wants a new contract, which honestly, from Kyler's perspective, they were the last remaining undefeated team. Mm-hmm. They were unbelievable this whole year, and then they just collapsed. There was so much to be made of when even JJ Watt was and they ask why we're 10-0, and they ask why we're 10-0, but then they immediately fell off and they sucked and they lost. So then loss to the Rams was embarrassing. So it wasn't just like anything. It was a blowout. So I think there's a lot of rumors that are had. Obviously, something was said because an ESPN reporter tweeted it, but I don't know. There was also, do you see the rumor, speaking of Cowboys with CeeDee Lamb, Emmitt Smith absolutely ripped the Cowboys publicly, saying that they just waste talent.
They do.
They do, which they do. Yeah, they do that really well. It'll be interesting to see what they do. Like, they don't really have much flexibility with their team. They release
they're going to be the same team. Yeah, they're going to be the same team next year unless they try to make changes.
No, they have to be, because the only change that would happen is Michael Gallup. But Michael Gallup, after tearing his ACL most of the way through the season, will probably go back to this always happens. Players with teams who are in a contract year usually will go back to the team that they were playing with if they tear their ACL, because it's like a hometown discount, they say. But I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. And then talking about other quarterback situations, I got to bring up the Carson Wentz thing because Philly is notoriously known for making bad trades in all sports. But this is one they got right. Getting rid of Carson Wentz was a great move. I do miss him, though he brought us the Super Bowl. So I thank him for that. But he is just so streaky. And the Colts had one season with him, and they're like, we're done with him. By March 19th, he's either going to be traded or released. We just can't deal with this ginger Jesus anymore. And what do you think about all that?
I mean, I don't really know if I've felt one way or the other. I think I was hoping as a Giants fan that Carson Wentz would come in, wouldn't play the requisite amount of snaps, so they wouldn't get the first round pick, and he would be great and lead them to the Super Bowl at the same time. But the reality is Carson Wentz was not a very good quarterback towards the end of his tenure with the Eagles. He was not a good quarterback now. He lost. It wasn't just him. Also the defense obviously didn't do great. But they lost to the Jaguars, which is pathetic. The Jaguars, who were actively losing games.
Yeah.
They lost to them in the last game of the season, which decided their playoff fate. It's really embarrassing.
If I had to guess, I think he's going to be released. I don't really see it. I don't know if a trade's going to happen. And some team will pick him up probably as a backup, which he won't be happy about because he still believes he's a starter.
I actually think that they're going to restructure the contract. I think he'll still be the starter.
You think they're going to keep him?
I think they wasted too much draft capital, which is crazy because Chris Ballard is such a good GM. He makes so many good moves, and then this is just so bad because they needed a quarterback. But I mean, he was fair this year. I'd say it was okay. He's nothing special. He's not a first round pick. That's a lot of draft capital to give up.
Yeah.
The Eagles absolutely fleeced them. That's how I think, at least in this. They killed it on the trade front. And it's just funny that they're already non-committal to him after a year.
Yeah.
The reports are like he's 50-50.
Well, if they're not committed to him, then why would they re-sign him?
I'm not saying they'd re-sign him. I'm saying they would restructure the contract so it'd be less money than the guaranteed money he has right now.
I don't want to hear your excuses, Jason.
Those are my excuses, and you're going to hear them.
Well, on another note, since we're talking about trades and how Philly finally got one right, maneuvering over to basketball a little bit, what do you think about the whole James Harden trade, which happened literally an hour after our last podcast?
So unfortunate that it happened right after we were finished recording last week's podcast. So I think from looking at it from both perspectives, so basically what the trade was James Harden, Paul Millsap for Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, and 2 first-round picks, one this year and one in 2027, I believe.
And Andre Drummond,
sorry. I think looking at it in a macro sense, I feel like the Nets definitely won the trade for value Drummond is still a very good center. They needed help. Seth Curry is one of the best three-point shooters in the entire NBA. The 2 first-round picks for this year probably is nothing, but the one in 2027, who knows? And Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is the catalyst. So like, I really think Ben Simmons is going to come back from his mental health issues and whatever. Like, I think he's going to come back and he's going to be unbelievable for that team. I really do. But I do think that the Harden trade for the Sixers made a lot of sense because Daryl Morey, who is known for being ridiculously aggressive, was the one who brought in Harden to the Rockets when he was on the OKC Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
And then Daryl Morey leaves. The Rockets trade Harden to the Nets, where it obviously did not work out. I think the Sixers are going to be immediately pushed to championship contending, which is great because they also have Embiid, who's an MVP frontrunner this year. What I think is interesting, though, and I said this to you off camera as well, James Harden has a very selfish style of playing ball. He's very much an ISO basketball kind of guy, which is not what the Sixers do, except for when they give it to Embiid in the post, and he's a very good passer to the post. I don't see how this trade works. Like long run, I maybe it'll get them to the championship or at least the Eastern Conference Finals, but I can't imagine next year. Like he'll have one more year and then he's an unrestricted free agent again. And he is such a little. I think that he's going to get frustrated. And Embiid calls out his teammates publicly. James Harden doesn't have a backbone. Like those two don't go together. So I think Harden will be out. I'm calling it right now. After next year, I bet you he leaves. I really think that, but I also think that there's a good shot that they'll get to the championship or definitely the Eastern Conference Finals this year.
It is nerve-wracking. I do understand what you're saying, but the thing about it though is that this is already Harden's 4th team. He wants to win. He came out and said in his press conference yesterday when he knew he wanted to leave the Rockets, he wanted to come to Philly. And we weren't able to make that happen. So he was playing for the team that he didn't want to play for, which is why you said earlier, like in the locker room, once he was traded,
Bruce Brown.
I keep thinking Bruce Bowen. Bruce Brown is like, the locker room's finally coming together, and things aren't bad in the locker room. I wonder why. Well, James Harden isn't in there anymore, but the Sixers want to win, and just as happy as the Nets are to see Harden go, we're just as happy to see Simmons go because
100%.
I'm sure he was going through some mental health issues, which makes me very skeptical of him being prepared to play for.
It is interesting
for March 10th against the Sixers in Philly. I don't think he'll be ready for that. But I also would love to see him play because he's going to get absolutely destroyed. I think it's funny because of all the teams that Simmons could have gone to, he goes to the one team that has the one player who I can't stand, Kevin Durant. I think you call Harden a snake. I think KD is an absolute snake. I think
he's totally a snake.
I think he's a villain. I've never liked him. And the fact that Simmons is playing with him now makes us hate him that much more. I'd love to play them in the playoffs. I don't know if we would beat them, but I think it'd be fun just to go at
beat them at their home games.
Yeah,
they wouldn't have Kyrie.
Yeah, win all our home games. Probably beat them in a best-of-7 series. That'd be so funny.
All you have to do is win one at home, and then you guys will win all on the road because they won't have Kyrie Irving either.
It'd be 4 home games and 3 road games. So as long as we win all the home games. Or wait, no, that's not right. Is that right?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
it's one.
Home.
It's 2 home, 2 away.
2-2-1-1. Yeah, 2-2-1-1-1. But regardless, we needed to get rid of Simmons. He just had to go, and it was at a point where it's like, if we don't make this trade, we're not going to have any other options. We don't have, we're like, this isn't going to happen, which would have been interesting because if this didn't happen, we're going without Simmons for the entire year, no doubt in my mind. Harden didn't even want to play for them anymore. So like, I don't know what would happen with him. He might have pulled a similar Simmons thing. I definitely think we got fleeced. I think we gave up way too much. It kind of showed last night when we lost at home by 48 points to the Celtics. But I think when Harden comes back after the All-Star break, it's exciting. We're the 5th seed right now. There's a whole nother half of basketball to play. It's going to be interesting. I think Harden and Embiid will work well together because even in games like last night, I was at the Sixers game and they were like desperate to run the whole offense through Embiid. We had no other options. Tobias didn't do anything. Maxey, who's played well, didn't really do much. So we need that other playmaker out there, which is, where Simmons' presence is being missed. So I think it is a short-term trade for us. I guess there is the worry of like whatever happens this season or next season. Like I was thinking about that last night too. Like this whole process that the Sixers have been putting in is like slowly, scarily coming to an end. Like it kind of feels like this is our last chance. And if we don't get something done, if we don't get out of the second round of the playoffs within the next 2 seasons, we might not only lose Harden, but we could also lose Embiid too. It's very possible. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. I got March 10th circled on my calendar.
I will watch that game as well. That'll be super interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game because it's funny because like we really miss the presence of Andre Drummond out there to have the backup for Embiid. Our backup right now is B-ball Paul Reed, and he is not good. We don't have a shooter that we need. We lost Seth Curry. Now our shooter is trying to be Matisse Thybulle, who I think was 0 for like 4 from 3-point last night.
Yeah, Matisse Thybulle is not
He's not the shooter. Korkmaz is like okay. So we need Harden, and it's like unfortunate because that's going to be our way to win games is to get 30 out of him and Embiid both every night.
Yeah, it'll be interesting too because Harden's hurt right now. Won't be back till after the All-Star break, and he's had a down year. Whether that you could say that is because of reasons X, Y, and Z, or he's just having a down year and he's shooting terrible from 3-point. So but he is probably one of the best scorers ever in NBA history. So we shall see how that works. But I will tell you from an objective fan, I think that the fact that he loves iso ball is very not conducive to winning. And that's why they never won in Houston when he was the focal point. And even though they have a lot of talent with Embiid and at the center position, plus I like Thybulle a lot, and I really like Maxey. Tobias
I like it a lot.
I like it. I like it.
Well,
anyway, yeah. I just I don't know. It'll be interesting how it works.
But speaking of to wrap things up, speaking of guys who are not having an off year, with the All-Star game coming up, I'm going to talk a little bit about DeMar DeRozan and what he's been doing recently in Chicago.
Yeah. So DeMar DeRozan, we actually might make this a different copy in the future, with looking back at not trades, looking back at the signings that were this year and what they were looked to be before and how we look at them now. One of them being the DeMar DeRozan signing from the Spurs to the Bulls. We probably, I don't know about you, I thought it would be a good signing. I didn't think it would be what it is, where they are so good. The Bulls are a really, really good team again. DeMar DeRozan, over his last 6 games, shot 40 points, 67% from field goal percentage, 38 points, 50% field goal percentage, 35 points, 64%, 36, 68%, 38 points, 59%, 45 points, 60%. and it's the longest streak of 35-point games on 50% shooting in Bulls history, which means even Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen never did that, which I think is awesome. Like, it's pretty cool. He's just been their closer. He's been so good. Zach LaVine's an awesome talent, and so is Lonzo. As much as I hate that, but
the 2 games where he had back-to-back buzzer beaters.
Oh yeah, and they were insane. One was off 1 foot.
Yeah, against the Pacers.
Yeah,
I'm really happy for him because it's still like crazy how he was the heart and soul. I mean, maybe other than Lowry, he was the heart and soul of the Raptors team. They get rid of him and win the championship that next year. Like that must be really tough for him to see. He goes to San Antonio, and that team like also to play for Popovich, but
they were like the whole time.
That team's just been a disaster since the Duncan, Ginobili, Parker era has been over with.
I totally agree.
So he needed to get out of there, and he finally found his home. So he's an all-star starter. He's been having an all-star type year, MVP type year. Probably not going to be an MVP, but he's definitely in the top 5 discussion. And the Bulls are going to be a scary team to see in the playoffs. That's for sure.
Yeah, they're going to be a scary team to see. Is Alex Caruso supposed to come back this year or no?
I think so. He'll probably come back towards the playoff time would be my guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have a lot of talent, that team.
Yeah.
And, yeah. I do think we should also mention so last time we kind of went over who we thought our biggest winners and losers when we were talking about the NBA trade deadline. I think you have to point out the 2 biggest losers, I think, are the Lakers and my Knicks. They did nothing, and their teams, like the Knicks, just lost to the Thunder, who are actively tanking. And it's really embarrassing to watch them. And the Lakers also can't buy a win, and Russell Westbrook keeps coming out and complaining about his minutes publicly. So it's 2 disaster teams right now. They both didn't make a move. It doesn't make any sense. And the Kings, I still think are losers because Tyrese. No, yeah, his name is Tyrese also, right? Yeah, Halliburton.
Yeah, he's been playing well for the Pacers.
Yeah, he's playing great for the Pacers. So, anything else you got on your mind in our last couple of minutes here?
No, that's really it. It's kind of a waiting game at this point. Just waiting to see for Harden to get out there, see what they can do. Waiting to see Simmons to get back out there so we can make him cry like a little baby that he is.
Yeah, cry.
That about does it. Another episode in the books, Jay. Nicely done. Looking forward to the next one. We will have our first mystery guest, or maybe 2.
I shall call her Mystery.
I shall call her Mystery. That does it. Make sure to like and subscribe, please. We will have our episode, of course, on YouTube. We've just partnered with Anchor. So we'll have our episode up on Anchor as well as Spotify. So make sure to, if you can't watch it, if you're in the car on a long roadie, give it a listen. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you. This has been JumpStart Sports.